Nurture and support. Nurture and support. This is a podcast theme song. And it's really short.
Nurture and support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Nurture and Support, a recommendation podcast sharing all the awesome since 2013. I'm Kelly Toole at KELLYTHUL on Twitter.
And I'm Mel at Karmic9 on Twitter, YouTube, everywhere else.
So this is episode 132, and in the feverish research I do before all shows, wanted to bring up, since Mel's so in love with politics these days, wanted to do a little political tie for her. So summary 132 on the www.congress.gov website is the National Monument Designation Transparency and Accountability Act of 2017. So that's the official sponsor of tonight's show. And you're wondering, this bill requires the president, before a national monument can be designated on public land, to obtain congressional approval, certify compliance with the National Environmental Policy Act of 1969, and determine that the state in which the monument is going to be located has enacted legislation approving its designation, which basically means the large statue to the current president that you're building in your backyard that you want to make a national monument. You got some work to do.
Oh, please don't put a Trump statue in your backyard, people.
Well, yeah, I'm glad they're working hard on that stuff, because there's been just this national monument stuff's been getting wiggly higgly.
I know. There's too many national monuments, really. Yeah.
That's right. So at least we're getting it under control.
Absolutely.
So we'd like to thank our sponsor, and we'll go ahead and move on to the show.
Frivolous laws.
So this was on a recent opium den that Mike Belinsky does. I was on, and he was talking about the various podcasts I'm involved with and how I make choices between what goes on. And I didn't have great answers to him for that. I kind of said, well, I kind of picked the ones that I think there's a chance you might listen to. So I do it for Nurture and Sport, or Mike might like, so I do it for that show. But this is one that I very specifically saved for this show. I was not going to make this recommendation on Squat Cobbler. This is for you, Mel. This is because I think you will actually really enjoy this. It's another Disney recommendation from me, which you get from time to time. And unfortunately, right now, if I was going to recommend this a little while back, and at that time, you could find this entire album playlist on YouTube and listen to it all for free. Or you could go to Spotify and get it. But I think the Disney czars that handle copyright and all that have kind of battened down the hatches a little bit. And at this point in time, it looks like if you want to take me up on this recommendation, you're going to have to go to Amazon and get the CD or the digital copy. It's pretty affordable, but I think you're going to have to go to Amazon, because it's actually not on iTunes and not on Spotify.
Oh.
But it's called Disney's Music from the Parks. And it is a collection of Disney songs from where they have different people performing the songs.
Cool.
And there's a wide variety of participants in this, and there are some incredible moments in it. I'm not going to cover every track, but I want to kind of touch on a couple of them. So it kicks off with Zippity Doo-Dah by Patty Austin. So Patty Austin sings Zippity Doo-Dah, starting it off like a torch song, and just breathless kind of delivery. And then she kicks into more of a Zippity Doo-Dah-esque rendition by the end of it. You get the Pointer Sisters totally rocking out Yo Ho, It's a Pirate's Life for Me.
Oh my God.
With unbounded enthusiasm, because it's yo ho, yo ho. Geez, they're really rocking it out. Truly passion. So it's great. Etta James also covers. She did It's a Small World and When You Wish Upon a Star melody from there. And so if I were going to mention a few more artists, if you were going to pick the artist that stayed truest to the Disney rendition, so this is my kind of typical spring a quiz on Mel. So I'm going to give you about 4 artists, and you're going to tell me this is probably the one that stayed truest to the spirit of the Disney song. And if those artists were the Pointer Sisters, Linda Ronstadt, Olivia Newton-John, and the Bare Naked Ladies, Which is the one that you think stayed the truest to the Disney delivery?
Is this a trick question? Because I know the one that stands out there.
Yeah, they did a poor choice there.
I'm going to go with the Bare Naked Ladies.
That's a very good guess, Mel. That's exactly
Yes.
right.
I finally got a question right on one of Kelly's quizzes, y'all. It's
A
history.
big comeback from the XFL fiasco.
Yes.
So they do Grim Grinning Ghosts, the song that goes on in the Haunted Mansion. And it's remarkably kind of true to the spirit of that song. It's good. It's really good. It's fun. But I was actually surprised that they stay kind of in the spirit. So I mentioned a few more other folks on there. Olivia Newton-John. Take Six, an a cappella group, does When You Wish Upon a Star. That's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But the gem, the reason you will go out and buy, and actually you don't need to go out and buy the album. This is one you can still find on YouTube. And I highly, highly recommend, as soon as you finish listening to Nurture and Support, you go to YouTube and you search on Tim Curry and Davy Crockett.
Oh my God.
Tim Curry sings the Ballad of Davy Crockett in full Frankenfurter mode. It is just the strangest thing at all. Very interesting kind of spoken dialogue about the hat towards the end. He goes, it was some sort of animal. I think it was a creepy animal. When I was a child. And he says, I assume they had people come to pitch their tents for them and these types of things. But it is just magic. And so if this album is actually pretty cool. Like I said, the Pointer Sisters one, I really love, just given the enthusiasm they do. It's fairly interesting. Bare Naked Ladies, enjoy their stuff. But this Tim Curry delivery is just magical. And so, and the good news is you can get that. We can include that in the blog post. I'd consider going to Amazon and purchasing this, but if nothing else, make sure you listen to the Ballad of Davy Crockett, because it is simply amazing.
Oh yeah, well, I'm gonna buy it. Now, tell me, do you have the album list pulled up?
I do.
Is Not in Nottingham on there?
Not in Nottingham is not on there. In terms of that would be great. Who would you have do that? Who would you have do that?
Actually, oh my gosh, I'm having a total brain freeze right now. Oh, and this is a new phone. I don't have it on here. Somebody covered it, and it's not out available anywhere. Let me see. Okay, yeah, Mumford and Sons.
Oh,
did a cover of Not in Nottingham, but I don't believe it's available to actually buy anywhere. I think you can hear it unless they've taken it down, as Disney occasionally does.
Yeah.
It was up on YouTube. It's been out for years, but with the actual Robin Hood cartoon kind of playing in the background with the song, but it was Mumford and Sons. And then there's some live video out there of them doing it, but Not Nottingham is one of my favorite, if not my favorite Disney song ever. And so when Mumford and Sons did it, and their talk about being true to the original, they're very true to the original. So, but anyway, but yeah, I'm totally gonna buy this album because awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun, and it's a great kind of cross section of, you got a cappella, you've got kind of more some of your standard folks like Olivia Newton-John and Linda Ronstadt. You've got Etta James, so it's a nice mix, and then you have just this magic from Tim Curry, which makes the whole album. So it's super awesome there. It was released in 1996, staying with my tradition of recommending fairly vintage albums, but you can get it on Amazon. We'll include a link there. We'll also I think we should probably do some searches on Not in Nottingham, and if it happens to be available there.
Yeah.
Now, the downside is, the behemoth that is Squat Cobbler. Mike and I have named our fictional fan base that doesn't exist, but we believe it exists in our own minds, and so we call them the Squatties, and those are the fans of it. We have to come up with what our Nurture and Support fans call.
Anything that popped into my head was vaguely
problematical.
Not good. Would not be in keeping with the theme of Nurture and Support.
So we'll have to ponder that one a little bit. But until Mel and I come up with a good name, for our good friends who are fans of Nurture and Support, would like to put a call out to them that while this is a pretty awesome album, would be very interested in your thoughts on what might be other good combinations of Disney songs and performances to go forward. So, for example, You've Got a Friend in Me by Alice Cooper in full Alice mode, I think would be pretty fun. So it'd be interesting to see if other folks had ideas of what would be a fun pairing. You might want to listen to Tim Curry for inspiration.
That has to be awesome, and I can't believe I don't know about that already. And I'm frankly quite proud of whoever at Disney decided to allow that to happen.
Yeah, because it it's a little edgier. It's kind of Tim in full Tim Curry mode, and it's pretty fun. Yeah, but that's because it's a little atypical, because they usually really try and control the message a little bit more than that. They had a little fun with them, kind of want to poke a little bit of fun with themselves. So.
Yeah, well, especially what year was it? 96?
96.
Yeah, I mean, especially in 96, they've loosened up today's era because now they own everything.
Yeah.
But they've loosened up now. But back in 96, I would have thought somebody probably went, no, not Tim Curry. Yeah. He's got bad. There's a cloud around Tim Curry that maybe we don't want to touch, but of course the rest of us love Tim Curry.
Yep, and he brought a little of that cloud into that song, I think. So but I think like I said, it'll be fun. You will be smiling from the get-go. It is pretty great. So we'll make sure we include that in the blog post as well. But that's my recommendation for today. Music from the Park Disney album. You can search the Tim Curry song, and you can actually get to the Pointer Sisters Yo-Ho as well. The Rembrandts are on it as well.
Oh, I like the Rembrandts.
And so I was unable to find that their song has been excised. They do a melody from Lion King. They do I Can't Wait to Be King and Hakuna Matata.
Oh.
And unfortunately, I could not find a sample of that freely available. So.
Yeah, it's always a problem. But that's okay, because Amazon knows me very well, and they let me just click one little button, and I just instantly buy anything I want.
So helpful of them.
It is.
Looking out for you.
Button. Yes, one little button. So I'm going to go to Amazon and buy this album by clicking one little button. And then I am going to open up my Amazon Music app on my iPhone and put in my Apple Airpods and listen to this wonderful album on my Apple Airpods, which is, of course, my recommendation why I bring it up today. So this is really only going to apply to the iPhone people out there. So I'm sorry, Kelly. You won't be running out and buying some AirPods, though. I don't know. I think I had heard at one time that they might work on Android, but the special features I doubt would be able to be accessible. So for any of you out there, apparently AirPods are back ordered yet again. I wasn't aware of that. I thought when they came out in February that they were available, but apparently I checked right before we started recording, and they're still showing 6 weeks for shipping if you are to order them today. So what that Apple AirPods are is a Bluetooth wireless headphones for your iPhone. They are really cool, and I'm going to talk about them because when they first got released, I think they released a very small amount of them in time for Christmas, and I saw almost universally negative reviews of people not liking them when they came out. And so I didn't have a use for them. I was wholeheartedly against the removal of the headphone jack in the iPhone 7. However, I got put into a position where it was more economical for me to upgrade to an iPhone 7 than fix my iPhone 5S, and I was eligible for an upgrade. So I ended up getting one of the evil iPhone 7s with no headphone jack, and life became difficult because my phone is not actually used very much for voice communication. It's used for texting and listening to my music and my podcasts. So it's mainly a music listening device for me. So I spend most of my time with it hooked up to headphones. Anyway, I wasn't planning on purchasing the AirPods because they have a big old price tag of $159. And that's more than I pay for headphones typically. However, since I'm recommending them today, obviously I failed and purchased them. They are really, really pretty cool. They have this magical ability to have no wires. They're completely wired. So one earpiece is not connected to the other earpiece. They are independent. You put one in one ear and put one in the other ear, and there's no wire to snag on anything and pull one out of one ear and generally cause the mayhem we all know about with Bluetooth headsets, because I've been through almost every brand out there. Because I've probably mentioned before, because this is the bane of my existence, I have really weird shaped ears, apparently. And normal headphones don't fit. You know, when they move from being an earbud to being the ones that actually fit into your ear canal, I have not been able to buy a decent set of headphones because none of them fit. They're all too big. I have like child-sized ear holes, and it's a problem. They hurt. They're painful.
By the way, thank you for the title of this episode.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm always happy to oblige. So I have problems with buying headphones, and I have for years and years and years. I've spent a fortune. I've spent well over the $159 the AirPods cost me. Anyway, long story short, when Apple changed over to the, what they call them, the EarPod, when they changed it from the earbud to the EarPod, I was like, that's crappy. That's never going to stay in your ear. Well, they actually worked out pretty well for me. And they have said that all of their multitude of studies show that that shape fits most people the best. So that convinced me to go ahead. I was so frustrated at not being able to get a decent set of Bluetooth headphones, because I finally bought a pair to go with my phone, and they only lasted for 2 hours of music listening, and then needed to charge for 5 hours. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm at work for 10 hours. That's not working out. So I bit the bullet and I ordered my AirPods, and I waited and waited and waited, and they finally came in beginning of February. So I've had them for a month now, and I use them every day. They have great battery life compared to any of the other ones that I've used. I can listen to them all day at work. I have to take them out occasionally and put them down, but I don't put them back in the charge case, which is the other cool thing that they come with, is this little case that they fit in. They magnetically fit into this specially shaped case, and that case acts as a charge bank. And so when you put them in there, it recharges the individual earpieces. So it's really pretty cool. So with the two combined, Apple claims you can get over 24 hours of use out of the AirPods with the charge case. I haven't pushed that, but I have listened to mine all day with doing nothing more than putting them in the charge case for a few minutes. Apple says that 15 minutes of charging will get you another 3 hours of listening. You can look up their battery life on your iPhone after you connect them, which it's also a very simple connection process. There's no codes to put in. You kind of open up the little charge case when you get it next to your phone, and it pops up on your phone of, hey, there's some AirPods. Aren't those cool? Let's connect those. And you're done. So apparently, if you also have an Apple Watch, you can have them connected to your Apple Watch and your iPhone at the same time. I don't have an Apple Watch, so it's not a point for me. However, they are very easy to connect between my phone and my iPad. You just have to go in your Bluetooth and select the AirPods, and there's no finagling, no codes to put in. It's an almost instantaneous connection. Now, they don't really come with a lot of instructions when you get them. So after you connect them in that very simple way, the phone was ringing at work, and I had to answer the phone, and I was listening to a podcast, and I didn't know how to turn them off because there's no controls. Most Bluetooth headsets, there are buttons on them, and you push a button to stop it or answer a call. These don't have any of that. So I discovered if you take it out of your ear and put it down on the desk, it stops playing. And then you pick it up and put it back in your ear, and you know what it does? It starts playing again. It's like magic. It's amazing. Because Apple put all these magical accelerometers in there. So it knows when you're picking it up and putting it in. And apparently through some magical accelerometer as well, it can tell when you're talking, when you're on a call, and it cancels out the background noise. So I've used it on a few calls, and I didn't mention that I was on a headset, and I never had any problems with anybody hearing me. So it must have worked okay, because even when I've been on a corded headset before, people have complained. So it worked out pretty well. But I have to say, they're pricey. They're outside my typical price range for something like this. But I would definitely recommend $159 if you're an iPhone person, especially if you have multiple devices like an iPad or an iPhone and an Apple Watch, and you haven't gotten on the wait list to get some AirPods. I would definitely get on the list. They're very cool. If you're a Siri user, to pull up Siri on your phone and talk to Siri and tell her to look up directions or play something or do anything Siri does, you just double tap either one of the AirPods and it brings up Siri. Now, I've had to disable Siri because Siri responds to commands I don't give her, especially when I'm at work. And so I've had to disable Siri, but that's okay.
Yeah, shoot, because I was about to try and surprise you by saying, so if you double tap on it, it'll bring up Siri, because this is a very interesting recommendation you make today, because my boss, who's a big Apple guy, and knows that I'm not a big Apple guy, says, I know you're not going to be really impressed because you're not an Apple guy, but these are just, and he was going on today, because he had just got his recently. Yeah. And he was just over the moon. He loved the case. I mean, the form factor is amazing, the magnetic case, and just so clean and simple. He didn't talk about the battery life stuff, but that's pretty amazing. And while I have kind of publicly stated my Android position, you got to respect the wisdom of Apple. When the iPad came out, the first 2 or 3 weeks of the iPad being out, all you were hearing was, look at all the people looking incredibly stupid trying to take pictures, or look, if you thought your phone was nice, here's something 5 times the size of your phone. Let me hold it up to my head. And they were kind of mocking it and saying, what a terrible, terrible idea. And, look where we end up with the tablet form factor exploding as an amazing improvement to it. Same thing with these, that lots of, like you mentioned, lots of kind of taking the headphone jack out and lots of barking about that. But when you see an elegant delivery like this with really smart functionality and useful things, they're usually right. My guess is you're going to eventually, you'll see Android opt into this kind of model as well, and it's a great thing. So help me, since I am not of the tribe of Apple. So you got a 7.
Yes.
But you got no headphone jack when you bought your 7, right?
I know. You pay so much more for the 7, and they took away the headphones.
So you get Earpods with the 7, and you can buy AirPods. Is that, these are 2 separate products, right? Or do you get Air? Okay. What's the difference?
You buy the AirPods separately. It's a completely different device. With the iPhone 7, since they took away the headphone jack, the way that you have to connect, you can still connect regular headphones to the iPhone 7, but you have to use a lightning adapter. It does come with the lightning adapter. It comes with the EarPod that doesn't have a regular, I never know what that regular headphone jack is called, what size it is, but it comes
with a number. I can't remember what it is.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it comes with a little dongle that plugs into the lightning port, because that is the only port on the entire phone, is the lightning port to charge it. And that also now serves as a headphone port, but you have to plug in a lightning jack adapter that you can plug your regular headphones in if you have an expensive pair that you're going to use. But the headphones it comes with end instead of a regular headphone jack. They end in a lightning port, or the other part of the lightning port. So you plug that directly into the lightning port, and that's how they work. And they're the ear pods, but they're wired, so they plug into that jack there. But they work fine. But yeah, I hope they bring the headphone jack back. I think it's a little too soon to go completely without it. But then again, they convinced me to buy the AirPods, which were a really good purchase. If they hold up well, it's definitely worth the $159. But I've used mine daily for a month. I have not had any loss of battery storage. They don't seem to be not holding a charge as well. They're working really well. And the other thing I wanted to mention is they fit really well. I know a lot of people were like, that's going to fall out, and then I'm going to have lost $159 pair, one of the AirPods. They really, if the AirPods fit your ears well, then you're not going to have a problem with these. Not that I've done any strenuous exercise, but I've done a little light jogging and some walking and not had even a hint that they were going to come out. Now, I might not want to risk these if you were doing something real sweaty that might get these really, wet, and they're not sport headphones. They're not intended for that, I don't think so. But as far as if you're out doing some yard work, though, I'm not sure I would risk them falling under the lawnmower, but they stay in. I've not ever had one fall out. If you're really, really worried about it, though, you can get on Amazon and buy some third-party tethers to attach the two. I really like the not having them connected, because that's always been a problem for me. Is they're they string around the back of your neck, and they either catch on your collar, or with me they catch on my hair, and it'll pull one of them out. So I didn't even bother with a tether, but I did, in preparation, since I had such a wait for mine to come in one of the other Bluetooth EarPods shape headsets that I had gotten, it came with the little fins that the little silicone cover that you put over the pod, and then it has a little fin that fits into your ear. I had bought a little pack of those that you can get from third-party people on Amazon, I'm sure other places as well. If you're worried about the fit, if those don't tend to fit you well, or if you're just worried about you're going to be doing some, you're going to be out walking the trail and you don't want to risk them falling out, you can get those to do a little double insurance, and those are, they're just a couple of dollars. But I've had zero problems with mine falling out at all. So they fit well for me, which is a huge problem, as I mentioned, is finding anything that I can actually wear comfortably and for extended lengths of time, because they're going in and out of my ears all day at work. And so I can do my podcast listening of all the numerous podcasts that I've become addicted to, that y'all will hear about over the next ensuing months. But I think they're really great, and I think the reviews on them have improved. But I was really put off at the first reviews that came out with that first batch of them that got released at Christmas, of all the, I guess those were the real tech nerds who were really down on them. And I think they work great. You just have to realize there are no buttons. There's no buttons on them. So, and the instructions are less than stellar in that, there's just nothing much to do. It's so smart that it knows you take them out and put them down, it stops playing. You pick them up within a certain time frame. If you haven't done anything else on your phone, you pick them up and put them in your ear, and it automatically starts playing again, which I thought was like really cool. So
Excellent.
So they're good.
Very, very cool. Yeah, like I said, I would never bet against them. They're smart people, and they come up ultimately with things from a design standpoint. They're sometimes ahead of the curve, and it looked really cool when I was seeing the case. Just the case is cool with the magnetic cable and snapping in. It's sweet.
I find myself playing with that case a lot, snapping the lid open and closed. It's got a very slight magnet to hold the lid down, and then I'll sit there and pop the AirPods because I'm a fidgeter. And I'll be sitting there on a desk phone at work talking to a client or something, and be sitting there popping the case open and popping the AirPods in and out of the case because there's a magnet.
Yeah.
So who doesn't like to play with magnets?
Magnets are fun.
Yeah, so it has multiple purposes as a fidgeting tool and as a music device.
Yeah. And then the case then goes into some sort of charger. So when they go in it charges, but how do you charge
the
the
AirPods
case?
go into the case, and the case just plugs into the same lightning cable that you use to charge your iPhone.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
It's got a port, and you just plug the cable in and charge it just like you would your phone or your iPad or anything else. So
how often do you have to do that?
I don't charge my case, but maybe once or twice a week. And I might remember to check on my phone the battery level of it, especially if I've run the actual AirPods battery down and I need to put them in the case, because they'll suck the battery juice out of the case, and then I'll remember to put it on for maybe an hour or so at work, and that keeps them charged. So I'm really impressed with the battery life on them. I've not even ever come close to running one out. I've been listening all day and seen that it was low, and just took them out, popped them in the case, went and got another cup of coffee or something, and came back and kept going. So you can always put them back in the case for a few more minutes, but technically the technical specs, Apple claims that 15 minutes in the case will give you 3 more hours of listening time. So that's pretty good, and I've not had any problems with mine, and I've been using them for a month. So that's why I didn't want to talk about them too soon, till I gave them a good break-in, since I saw the bad reviews. And I think a month of constant use is about as abusive as I can be to them. So if they haven't cracked now, and they're not falling out of my ears, and I haven't lost them, that's the big thing. I haven't managed to lose them yet. They're doing great. So it was a really good buy. As much as I was worried about it, I don't like throwing that kind of money away, and I was really worried. But again, I have a bunch of Apple devices, and I have trusted Apple to make devices that were easy to use and just work. So my days of trying to hack tablets and bricking them are long past. I've gotten old, and I've just decided I'd rather pay money for something that works than spend all the time hacking the MP3 players back in the day when there was DRM and everything, and we had to hack the MP3 players to be able to play music from Real Player or something like that. So I've matured past it. I don't do that anymore. I don't have to hack my ebook readers anymore. Okay, I just buy Amazon. I sold out. I'm sorry.
Real Player. There's a flash from the past. There you go.
I know it. Dating myself here, but yes, Real Player.
Well, for episode 132, brought to you by the National Monument Designation Transparency and Accountability Act of 2017, and very likely child-sized ear holes, we'll go ahead and move into the social media recommendation section of the show for the week. Do you have anything, Mel?
I'll throw one out. The Twitter handle is @BlackMudPuppy, and that is an artist by the name of Ethan Kocak, Kocak. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I'm so sorry, Ethan. But he is basically he's a herp aficionado. He raises mud puppies. He's very much into all of that, but he has a webcomic. And what a lot of people may see, if you follow science-minded people on Twitter, you might see that a bunch of them kind of have these cartooned avatars. Chances are they came from Ethan for, I forget what he charges, maybe $5. It's a ridiculously low price to have somebody make you a cool avatar. But he makes all of these scientist avatars for just a couple of dollars, and they're really good. He's really cool. He tweets a lot of mud puppies from his tanks and salamanders and different herps, and I like herps. So he's cool at Black Mud Puppy on Twitter. So I have a Twitter recommendation, y'all. Be happy.
Very, very cool. Yeah, that's a follow for me. So did he do Bad Astronomers? Is that right?
It's possible. Yeah, I haven't. I'd have
He's
to
got a
look
cartoon
it.
ABI.
Yeah, it's quite possible.
Well, that sounds very cost effective, and I would benefit by cartoon depiction versus actual photographic depiction. So I may take him up on that. That'd be very cool. Excellent. So I have a recommendation too. It's Daniel Newman at Daniel Newman. That's DanielNewman. He's a blue checkmark on Twitter. An actor, has been in Walking Dead and Vampire Diaries. Very cool on Twitter. And in his bio says tries to follow back. He's interactive. He's cool. So it was actually one where he followed me first, and I ended up following him back, quickly. And he's fun content, good guy, and follow him for no other reason than if you bring him up on Twitter about, like, I expect this will happen on mobile as well as a desktop environment. The N in Newman, the final N in Newman, the extends beyond the line on the end. So instead of just like, typically where all the letters kind of run along a straight line, his last N, the loop on the bottom, extends beyond. I don't know how he managed to do that within Twitter, but that alone deserves a follow, that he's a font master and a blue check mark and a good guy. So I'm recommending Daniel Newman for this week.
It's probably something only blue check marks get.
They get the special ends. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? They get all sorts of special stuff. Yeah. It's always mean when you come across somebody who just got theirs and they're like talking about all of the hidden functions, and then everybody's like, no, you're not supposed to talk about that with the plebes, okay? That's right. You're not supposed to tell them what they're missing.
We gotta make her. Although I with the whole Gerald Webb experience on the blue check mark, I learned a little bit more about kind of Twitter's approach, as many of the Snark Alex did. That it's not going to be a popular acclaim. It's not going to be pushed. They make their decisions on when they're going to do it, on however they're going to do it. But I would argue, since again we got to get a name for the nurture and support group, because here's where I would Squat Cowboy say, here's what I need the squatties to do, but we can't do that here. But if you happen to be a fan of nurture and support, go to Google and search on nurture and support. I showed this to Mel the other day. We own the nurture and support keyword in an amazing way. Our iTunes entry, the website, like the first 3 organic links on nurture and support. So we're crushing probably very helpful sites that people who might need nurturing and supporting, they're down below this podcast. And it seems to me if we own nurture and support as keywords, we should have blue check marks.
We should. I think they actually loosened up that process, and you can apply for a check mark now.
Oh.
From what I was seeing through the huge number of writers that I follow, some of them are going through the process. But I think you're supposed to be able to apply for a check mark now. And it doesn't guarantee that they're going to give you one, but it used to be, how do you even get noticed enough to get a check mark? But I think there's a process now where you can apply for it.
Well, that's another thing I'm going to need to look at. Because I'd like a blue check mark and the magic powers that come with it.
Yes, Kelly really needs a blue check mark, y'all. We need to make that happen.
Yeah, that would complete me. Excellent. Yes. Well, this was fun. And there's very few things that tempt me to look at the evil empire of Apple, but having given a little demo today and then hearing you talk about them as well, they do. I certainly hope my Android engineer friends out there are busily working along providing a comparable device, because it's really smart. And if the key thing, like you talked about, is you don't want to lose them, they got to stay in. And if that's been figured out, it's worth a look.
Well, this shape works for me, so I'm sure. Well, and there are other wireless ones out there, because I remember looking at them, and it was something about the chip. The hard thing is getting the two to sync, because they're each receiving a signal. Each AirPod is receiving a signal from the phone separately, and they have to sync all that up so you're not hearing sound with a delay from one ear, which would drive you absolutely insane. And there's there's none of that. They just work. There's no sync issues at all. So
Nice.
whatever Apple did to fix that problem will lead the way. I mean, there will be Android specific ones, but I think there already are some, but they're not up to par of what these AirPods are doing right now. So it'll be soon.
Good. Hope so. Excellent. Well, we're going to turn it over to Matt, who, ironically enough, has child-sized clavicles, who's going to give you all the information on how you can connect to Nurture and Support. Obviously, the easiest way is to go to Google and search on Nurture and Support, and you're going to see us all over the top of the organic listing. But we're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. There's stuff on my YouTube channel. Lots of different ways you connect to us. Please write reviews on iTunes. Please ping Mel and I with input. Think a little bit about if there was that Disney album out there and you wanted to have a song and an artist. We'd love to have you add comments either to the blog post or the YouTube video when it comes out and hear what your thoughts are on that. So that'd be pretty awesome. But we'll turn it over to Matt. He'll give you all the particulars, and thanks for listening, everybody.
We'll be back.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com. Or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter.
Nurturing and supporting China.